Hello, 7th graders. We are on lesson 3.5, using the Pythagorean theorem to find the missing side of a right triangle and using the Pythagorean theorem to determine if a triangle is a right triangle. Lesson 3.5 starts on 162 in your textbook, and make sure you have your vocabulary sheet out as well as your notebook and ready to take some notes. So, Pythagorean theorem. If we have a right triangle, okay, we see that the two sides that are adjacent to the right angle are called our legs, and those are labeled A and B. Our hypotenuse is the side across from the right angle, and that's always called our hypotenuse. So the side not attached to the right angle or not connecting is our hypotenuse. The legs always are connecting, A and B. Okay, so Pythagorean theorem states that c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So in any right triangle, okay, again, this is only for right triangles, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So what does this mean? Let's do some examples and it will make a little bit more sense. So if we have a triangle with legs 9 and 12 inches and our hypotenuse is c, we want to find c. Okay? As long as we know what the legs are, it doesn't matter which one we label A and B. They can be interchangeable. We just have to know the difference between the legs and the hypotenuse. Okay? So I like to write it as a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So one of my legs is 9, so I have 9 squared plus 12 squared equals c squared. Okay? This, by the way, right here, is our formula for the Pythagorean theorem. Okay? A squared plus b squared equals c squared. It helps us find any missing side as long as we're given two of the side lengths. Okay? So, this is a c. So then we solve 9 squared is 81. 12 squared is 144 equals c squared. And then we can figure out that 81 plus 144 equals 225 equals c squared. Now remember, okay, this is the biggest mistake that students tend to make, is that then they say, oh, the missing length is 225. No, 225 is when c is squared. We need c alone. Remember, back to 3.1, to get the square by itself, we have to square root both sides, because the square root of c squared is going to be c. So then we go square root of 225 and we get 15. So c equals 15. And our hypotenuse is always longer than both of our sides, so that makes sense that c would be 15. So always check to make sure that it would make sense. Okay, 15 inches. Next one, we have, we're given both of our legs because this is attached to the right angle and this is adjacent to the right angle. So we have 24 squared plus 18 squared equals c squared. Okay, so it's not 24 plus 18 equals c. It's always 24 squared plus 18 squared equals c squared. Okay, so 24 squared equals 576. 18 squared equals 324. These would be awesome notes to be taking down as I'm doing this. Equals c squared. Okay, then I add together 576 plus 324 equals 900 equals c squared, and hopefully you're saying in your head that you have to take the square root of both sides. Square root of c squared equals c. Square root of 900, well, I know the square root of 9 is 3. So square root of 900 would be 30. 30 yards. Okay? Well, what happens if we are given our hypotenuse and one side but not the other? Well, I can tell you that it still is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Both of our legs, remember, is a and b. So a, b, c. Hypotenuse is always, 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 always c. So we cannot go 8 squared plus 24 squared equals b squared. Our a, which we're given, is 8. So we plug in our variables. So 8 squared. We are not given b. So plus b squared. And then we're told that our hypotenuse, which is c, is 24 squared. 8 squared is 64. We leave b squared because we're trying to figure out what b squared is. 24 squared is 576. Okay, we need to get b squared alone. So if you remember all the way back to solving equations, railroad tracks, get rid of our 64. So we're going to subtract it on both sides. So then that cancels out to 0. So we're left with b squared. And we have 576 minus 64 equals 512. And then we take the square root of both sides. Sorry for my really sloppy writing because I'm using my mouse on my computer at home. And so we have the square root of 512 equals approximately, so because it's not an equal or an exact number, we're going to write it as approximately 22.63. We'll leave it like that. If we needed to round it to the whole number, we would take our 6 and round this up then to approximately 23. Okay, but this is our most approximate and most accurate number. So then we would label B as 22.63. Okay, our exact number, if we wanted to leave it as exact, we would say B equals the square root of 512. Okay, but we want a number to label our triangle with, and that would be meters. Okay, pause me and do this one on your own. Note that you are given one leg and one hypotenuse. So do it very quickly on your own. Check back to see if you get it correct. So we're given A, 3 squared, plus B squared equals 8 squared. We have 9 plus B squared equals 64. 64 minus 9, we have B squared equals 55. Because remember, I had to subtract 9 on both sides. 64 minus 9 is 55. That gets rid of our 9. B squared equals 55. Take the square root of both sides. B equals, I'm going to take the square root of 55, approximately 7.42 meters, which makes sense because 8 is greater than 3 and 7.25, and no, it's not meters, sorry, it's miles. Okay, so always look back to make sure that it is correct. It seems like it's correct. If you ended up with 55, B equals 55, okay, that means you just forgot to square it. If you put a 55 in here, that does not really make sense that we have 3 on one side, 55 on one side, so it'd be a humongo side, and then only 8 for our hypotenuse. So always check to make sure that it works with your triangle. One last problem that we're going to do. If the sides of a triangle have lengths A, B, and C units, and A squared plus B squared equals C squared, then the triangle is a right triangle. So if you're given all 3 sides, and you're asked to figure out if it is a right triangle, then you're going to put it into your equation and figure out if it works. So we are going to go with our sides being 5 and 12. So if we have 5 squared plus 12 squared, if it helps for you to draw a triangle, definitely feel free to do that too, equals 13 squared. We are checking to see if this works. Those are supposed to be question marks. 5 squared is 25. 12 squared is 144. 13 squared is 169. So does 25 plus 144 equal 169? I'm going to check just to make sure. And it does. So 169 equals 169. So since our formula worked, and since it all equals each other, that means that yes, it is a right triangle. Awesome work. Yay! All right, so go back and review or re-listen to the video if you need to, and make sure you go on to NICU and do lesson 3-5 quiz.